Jonathan Bernstein, a commentator over at Bloomberg News, he's writing about Trump's frozen approval rating. And he says, the truth is, we don't know why Trump is so unpopular, especially at a moment of relative peace and prosperity for the U.S. It could be the various scandals. It could be his refusal to behave like a normal president. It could be that his divisive campaign permanently alienated a lot of people. It could also be the specific unpopular public policy positions he holds, whether it's the tax law, healthcare, immigration, his border wall, or some combination. But whatever the reason, it's hard to believe that a president could be reelected when more than half the country thinks he's doing a bad job. And if nothing so far has shaken Trump's unpopularity, what's going to happen in the next 19 months to do so? Now, I have to tell you, at this point, and I've had ups and downs with Donald Trump, but at this point, I think it would be an absolute tragedy if Trump were not reelected. We know who the opposition is. We hear them talking, the crazy, crazy stuff they're saying, refusing to vote to save a baby born alive. I mean, my question about not wanting to save a baby born alive, no matter how that happens, if a baby born alive isn't a person, who is? What does that even mean? But the thing that got me just yesterday is Christiane Amanpour, journalist. Christiane Amanpour, journalist, has been a lefty, biased lefty. And every time anybody challenges her on her biases, she gets very, very haughty. She sits up straight and says, "What do you mean that I am Christiane Amanpour?" So I think it was yesterday, she's interviewing James Comey, Mr. Sanctimony. And even he is appalled by what this journalist, now this is a journalist protected by what you may recall, we like to call here the First Amendment. Here she is asking James Comey what the FBI could have done that would have helped Donald Trump lose. Listen to this.
Of course, lock her up was a feature of the 2016 Trump campaign. Do you, in retrospect, wish that people like yourself, the head of the FBI, I mean, the people in charge of law and order, had shut down that language, that it was dangerous potentially, that it could have created violence, that it's kind of hate speech? Should that have been allowed?
That's not a role for government to play. The beauty of this country is people can say what they want, even if it's misleading and it's demagoguery. The people who should have shut it down were Republicans who understand the rule of law and the values that they claim to stand for. Shame on them, but it wasn't a role for government to play.
That to me is utterly amazing. Christiane Amanpour, journalist, asking whether the FBI should have shut down chants of lock Hillary up. I mean, typical, by the way, typical political chants. I mean, typical of a political rally in a heated period of time. Yesterday, we heard the Democrats chanting a Marxist chant written by a cop killer who's escaped prison and run away to Cuba, as they called her a leader. And all the big Democrats were going to talk at that gathering. Shame on the Republicans for saying lock up Hillary Clinton after James Comey let her go. I mean, in public, in front of us, he's basically saying that the DOJ, that Obama's DOJ was so corrupt he couldn't trust them because Loretta Lynch had met with Clinton on the plane. He couldn't trust them to do the right thing. He was admitting that the DOJ was corrupt. Anyway, shame on the Republicans, but at least James Comey, kudos to James Comey for not saying, yeah, you know, I am the most righteous person in America. Maybe I should have shut down speech I didn't like with the power of the FBI behind me. Kudos to at least he is, maybe he's just old enough, I don't know, to shut down a journalist who wants to silence free speech. She should be fired. That's a fireable offense to me, to have a journalist talk about shutting down free speech through the FBI. That is a fireable offense. She should not be on TV again after that. That's absolutely, I mean, it really is amazing that people on the right get shut down for like random comments, but that was a conscious question that she asked, that she should be shut down entirely. So the opposition's got nothing. I mean, they've got nothing on Trump, and they will not leave. You can tell they've got nothing because they won't leave the Russian collusion thing alone. I got to say, the Washington Free Beacon put together basically this montage. It's a little fudged. It's got a couple of movie scenes in it, but it's basically a montage of the talking points making their way from the DNC through the press. Is the Russian collusion investigation over? Listen to this montage.
I don't think it's done.
This is just the beginning.
I think this is far from over.
This is just the beginning.
There are a lot of open questions.
This is not open.
over. But this isn't over.
I don't think it's over until the Mueller report sings.
It is certainly nowhere near the end.
Neil Katyal, Ken, has said that this is just the beginning.
The end of his investigation, but it's just the beginning.
Or the end of the beginning, not the beginning of the end.
It's just the beginning of the fight.
Just the beginning.
It's just the beginning.
This is just the beginning.
So it begins.
Is this really just the beginning? This is just the beginning.
The beginning of an argument.
This is just the beginning.
This is kind of just the beginning.
This is just the beginning.
Is this just the beginning of the beginning?
This isn't something's over and let's reflect on what just happened.
It wasn't over. It still isn't over.
Democrats are going to argue this is just the beginning.
This is just the beginning. I think we're really at the beginning, maybe the middle.
That this is the beginning of more questioning and more witnessing.
With more questions today than answers.
This is only the beginning, not the end.
Nothing is over until we decide it is.
So that's the press. Remember when they ran that thing? Who was it? I think it was Sinclair did an ad, and somebody put them all together as if every anchor on Sinclair was saying the same thing. This is generic, though. This is not coming down from anyone from above, except that it is, because the minute they get the talking point, they're all on board. This is just the beginning. They got nothing. I got to play one more thing just for absolute laughs. Greg Gutfeld put this out, and it is brilliant. He took Rachel Maddow. If you haven't been watching Rachel Maddow, it's some of the best entertainment on TV. She really did build this Russian collusion narrative into a vast conspiracy with all kinds of details, and Gutfeld's crew pasted it together. I got to admit, it's a little bit unfair because you could do this to anybody, but it is actually reflective of what her show has sounded like in the last couple of days, and it's really just worth hearing.
This guy Kalimnik keeps turning up again and again. Konstantin Kalimnik. He's still Russian military intelligence. Kalimnik, a short man who goes by Kostya, this guy Konstantin Kalimnik. Aluminum smelters, big aluminum smelters, giant aluminum smelters. He started sleeping at his smelters, sabotage in his smelters, came to his smelters. Very brutal start, right? Sleeping in the smelters. The next person who would be criminally charged in the Robert Mueller special counsel investigation bingo game. Did you have a square marked Alex Vanderswan? Alex Vanderswan? Chromium. Atomic number 24. The brother of the guy who's got the chromium plant. The guy who was the brother of the chromium plant. Chromium plant in Kazakhstan. Chromium plant in Kazakhstan. Next time you see something chrome plated, take a deep breath, cough it out, and think of the Trump Soho. Big story. Tick, 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 tick. Boom. Started ticking again. Tick, 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 tick. 4 hours later. Boom, boom. You're stressing me out. He starts tick, tick, ticking again. The boom goes off twice. First boom, tick, tick, tick. Boom, tick, tick, ticking. Second boom. Bombshell, the guy who ticks. Tick, 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 tick. Boom, boom again. Tick, 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 tick. The boom. Tick, tick, tick. Tick, tick, tick. Ahead of time, ahead of the scoop, and then boom.
That's great. That's from Gutfeld. Just absolutely hilarious. And even though, like I said, it's a little bit unfair, because you could do that to anyone. We could all have a supercut put together like that. Even so, it is fair because it captures the spirit of her show. It's amazing to me that Alex Jones is deplatformed everywhere, but she's not. I mean, why isn't she just as fake news as he is? I mean, I'm not praising Alex Jones, although I don't think anybody should be deplatformed. I think we should let everybody speak. But if he's gone, shouldn't Rachel Maddow be gone too? Anyway, of course, where the media leads, the Democrats follow, or vice versa. It's impossible to tell them apart at this point. And, they're Adam Schiff and Jerry Nadler, the usual suspects, are calling for the Mueller report to be released. They're calling for it to be released. And they keep saying, Attorney General Barr keeps saying he's going to release it. And some of the stuff might be grand jury testimony, which shouldn't be released to the public because it's not fair. But they're acting as if some great conspiracy is going on. Here is Nadler. Now, we want to get the right clip because this is Nadler today saying that it should be released. Have we got this one? Yeah, it's number 13. Yeah.
And the fact is there was an investigation for 22 months, and now the Attorney General in 4 days, an Attorney General who auditioned for his job by writing essentially that the investigation was wrong in itself and that a president could never commit obstruction of justice, which is an extreme view. And so he's not the proper person to oversee this or to decide what gets public. And we have to
see all the material and the underlying, to see the report and the underlying documents to protect the public and to protect the rule of law.
Now, it is provable, it's provable that this is completely political maneuvering, okay? These are not people serving the public. These are not people trying to get at the truth. This is purely political maneuvering. How do we know? Here, courtesy of Fox and Friends, is that very same, that you'll know him, you love him, the very same Jerry Nadler talking back in Bill Clinton days when they wanted to release the Starr report about Clinton's perjury and whether he'd perjured himself and how and all this stuff. And here is Nadler talking about that then.
As a matter of decency and protecting people's privacy rights, people who may be totally innocent, third parties, what must not be released at all. It's grand jury material. It represents statements which may or may not be true by various witnesses, salacious material, all kinds of material that it would be unfair to release.
So not only did Nadler used to be a great big fat guy, but I mean, you got to give him credit for something. At least he deflated a little bit. But not only that, he's just on whatever side he happens to be on. These guys, they make all these speeches about their, sovereign duty to the public and all this, what a noble quest they're on for the truth. And it's just all political. And at some point, you would just think that this would be reflected in the polls. And not only